The instant you open your mouth to justify your existence, you have already surrendered to the absurdity. Picture it. The accusation arrives. A verbal barb at a dinner table. A questioning of your utility in a meeting. A partner twisting your desperate attempts at communication. You feel the biological panic rise in your chest. The cortisol spikes the ancient mechanism of fear. Your over-equipped brain screams that you are being perceived incorrectly, that the illusion of your identity is cracking, that you must repair the shared delusion immediately. So you speak, you clarify, you plead, you offer context, and in that precise second, you have exposed your spiritual nakedness. Because this human herd does not judge you by the logic of your words. It judges you by the stench of your panic. The one who explains is the one who is terrified of isolation. The one who defends is the one who accepts the other person's fiction as their reality. Peter Wessel Zapffe, the philosopher of the tragic, understood a brutal mechanism that society tries to distract you from. He knew that authority is not about truth. It is about who can withstand the silence of the cosmos without flinching. And the moment you defend yourself, you step into their petty distraction. You become a prisoner in their artificial construct. But what if you didn't? What if when the attack comes, you did the one thing that terrifies the social animal more than anything else? Most people drift through life as biological puppets. They are jerked about by the strings of other people's expectations. Someone frowns. They wither, someone accuses. They beg. They live in a constant state of reactive anchoring, trying to prove they are valid, useful, or good. It is a grotesque way to exist. It is a slow suffocation of consciousness. But there is a different path. A way of moving through the void that is so detached, so sovereign, and so psychologically insulated that insults do not just bounce off you. They dissolve into the nothingness before they touch you. This is not about being cruel. It is not about being arrogant. It is about a fundamental shift in where you anchor your reality. Today we are going to dissect the psychology of the zero defense. We are going to look at why your apparatus betrays you in these moments and how to override it with a detachment that Zapffe would have recognized as the only sanity. I am going to show you how to render the power dynamic irrelevant, how to make the attacker doubt their own meaningfulness, how to use silence not as a pause, but as a mirror of the abyss against someone's ego. But be warned, this requires you to amputate a part of yourself that you have been feeding since you were born. The part of you that begs to be seen. The part of you that needs a witness. If you can kill that need, you become dangerous. You become free. Let us begin. So why do you do it? Why, when someone challenges you, is your first instinct to provide evidence of your worth? It starts in the nursery. Think back to when you were 5 years old and a parent or teacher accused you of a transgression. What was the only way to escape the terror of rejection? Explanation. I didn't break it. It fell. I didn't hit him. He hit me first. You learned that the other holds the power of your survival. And you learned that your safety depended on convincing that authority figure that you were a valid biological unit. The problem is you grew up, but your psyche is still trapped in that panic. You are walking around the world projecting that parent onto everyone you meet. Your boss, your lover, the stranger on the screen, even your enemies. When you defend yourself against someone, you are subconsciously saying, "You are real. I am small. Please accept my plea so I can feel anchored again." It reeks of existential dread, and human beings, predatory as we are, can smell that scent of insecurity from a mile away. Zapffe might say, to be understood is to be limited. Now translate that to social friction. It is much safer to be an enigma than an open book. When you rush to defend, you are prioritizing connection over sovereignty. You are saying, please perceive me, please validate my intent. But nature does not explain the storm to the sailor. The mountain does not explain the avalanche to the village. The moment you start rambling, giving reasons, showing evidence, bringing up history to prove your point, you have signaled that your internal stability depends on their consensus. You have given them the map to your vulnerability. And once they have that map, they can dismantle you whenever they wish. This is the trap of the social distraction. You believe that if you just explain it clearly enough, they will say, "Oh, I see now. The chaos is ordered. You are right." How often does that actually happen? Almost never, because the attack was never about the facts. It was about the panic of dominance. They didn't accuse you because they wanted truth. They accused you to see if you would flinch, and you flinched. The first step to becoming untouchable is to realize that the tribunal does not exist. There is no judge. There is no verdict. There is only you and your perception of the void. When you stop treating other people like gods, their accusations stop sounding like sentences. They start sounding like noise. And noise is just biology screaming. So what happens when you don't flinch? Imagine the scenario. Someone throws a verbal spike at you. You're being incredibly selfish right now. The old you would say, "No, I'm not. I sacrificed X, Y, and Z for you yesterday. I'm just tired." Defensive, weak, tethered. Now, imagine the detached approach. They say, "You're being incredibly selfish right now." You look at them. You hold the gaze. You don't blink. You keep your face completely empty. You let the silence hang in the air for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Do you know what happens in that silence? It is a glimpse of the void. The human brain is terrified of silence during a conflict. It signals a collapse of the social game. It signals that the other person is alone in the room. When you stay silent, you are mirroring their emptiness back at them. You are forcing them to sit in the tension they created. Usually, they will start to crumble. They will speak again to fill the silence. "I mean, you're not always selfish, but just right now. Why are you looking at me like that?" They start defending themselves against the nothingness. The panic has flipped. This is the stone face method taken to a philosophical level. You become a void. A void cannot be wounded. You cannot stab the air. You cannot drown the ocean. By refusing to provide the friction of a defense, you cause their attack to pass right through you and unbalance them. This requires immense repression of instinct because inside your apparatus is screaming, "Fight back. Anchor yourself. You must leash that animal." The Stoics knew that the most powerful person in the room is the one who requires nothing. If you defend, you reveal your attachments. You reveal what you fear losing. You reveal your buttons. "I'm not stupid," you shout. Now they know your insecurity is intellect. "I'm not a bad person." Now they know your insecurity is morality. Silence reveals nothing. It is a dark mirror. And when they look into it, they only see their own aggression reflected back, and it makes them deeply uneasy. It makes them feel the absurdity of their actions, which is ironic because you haven't said a word. Sometimes silence is not enough. Sometimes the situation requires language, but never defensive language. If you must speak, you never push back against the pressure. You absorb it. You use the inertia of their own neurosis. There is a concept in darker philosophy akin to agree and amplify. It creates a state of cognitive dissonance in the attacker. If someone accuses you of something absurd, defending yourself validates the absurdity as worthy of debate. It suggests the accusation is real enough to warrant a plea. Instead, you lean into the tragedy. You exaggerate it until it becomes a grotesque caricature. Attacker, you are so obsessed with money. You're greedy. Defensive you, no, I'm not. I just want to survive. Boring. Predictable. Biological. Detached you caught me. I actually intend to consume the entire economy and sit on a pile of gold while the world burns. It's a terrible burden. You say it with a flat face or a slight, melancholic smirk. What have you done here? You refuse to be defined. You proved you are not tethered to their opinion. You turn their serious attack into cosmic satire. You establish that you are the one observing the reality, not them. This strips the attacker of their purpose. They wanted to hurt you. Instead, you took their knife and used it to carve a sculpture. It signals existential mastery. Existential mastery is the ultimate state of high status. It is the attitude of an adult watching children fight over a toy. You don't get angry at the children. You don't argue with the children. You are sadly amused by the drama because you know it is meaningless. When you defend yourself, you are crawling on the floor and screaming with the children. Don't do that. Stand up. Look down. Breathe. Modern psychology talks about recreating yourself. Part of that is refusing the identity others try to thrust upon you to make themselves feel comfortable. When they label you, they are trying to put you in a cage. If you fight the cage, you are still interacting with the cage. If you mock the cage, you dissolve it. You're arrogant. I prefer the term cosmically aware, but sure. You don't care about anyone but yourself. I'm working on it. I'll add you to the list of distractions I care about next year. It is savage. It is dismissive. And it is incredibly magnetic. Why? Because it shows you are whole. You do not need their validation to confirm your existence. A person who knows they are finite laughs when called infinite. A person who knows their own mind laughs when called mindless. If you are defending, it is because deep down, you fear their judgment might be the only truth. And that is the internal work you must do. Let's go deeper into the philosophy of the interaction. Every conversation has a metastructure, a hidden skeleton. In a conflict, there is usually an inquisitor and a victim. The inquisitor asks questions. Why did you do that? What were you thinking? Who do you think you are? The victim answers, I did it because... Whoever is asking the questions controls the reality. Whoever is answering is serving that reality. The most lethal philosophical trick is to simply refuse the role of victim and seize the role of observer. You do this by answering a question with a question or by analyzing their panic instead of your own. Them. Why are you always so late? Defensive you. There was traffic and my biological clock failed. Losing. Detached you. Why does my arrival time disturb your inner peace so deeply? Boom. Do you see the shift? Suddenly, we are not talking about the clock. We are talking about their emotional fragility. We are talking about their reaction. You have put the spotlight back on their apparatus. Them, you're being ridiculous. Detached you, what makes you feel the need to use labels like that to stabilize your worldview? You are dissecting them in real time. This is infuriating to a manipulator. They want you unbalanced. Instead, you are walking around them, observing them like a specimen under a microscope. It's interesting that you perceive it that way. Does saying that alleviate your anxiety? You seem very invested in this distraction. These phrases are shields. They acknowledge the sound coming out of the other person's mouth, but they do not swallow the poison. It is a boundary, a verbal quarantine. You are saying, this is your panic, not mine, keep it. This is not just a technique. It is a spiritual stance. It is the realization that other people's perceptions of you are none of your concern. Their anger is their tragedy. Their disappointment is their responsibility to manage. When you defend, you are trying to carry their existential baggage for them. You are trying to fix their suffering. Stop it. Let them carry their own cross. Now for the paradox. Sometimes the most aggressive, defensive, power-flipping move you can make is to agree, but not in the way you think. This is not the agreement of submission. It is the agreement of indifference. Imagine someone is screaming at you. They are listing your flaws. They are trying to provoke a reaction. You look them in the eye and say calmly, "You're right." And then you cease speaking. "You're right, I am difficult sometimes. You're right, I did fail at that task." This is the fogging technique. When you throw a rock into a fog bank, what happens? Nothing. No tud, no hecho. It just vanishes. When you agree with an attacker, you steal their kinetic energy. They are pushing against a door, expecting it to be bolted. When you open the door, they stumble into the dark. They want to fight. They want resistance. Resistance validates their anger. Agreement neutralizes it. But here is the nuance. You must agree with the factual truth without accepting the moral shame they are trying to attach to it. There is a difference between admitting an error and accepting a spiritual condemnation. You messed up this report. You're incompetent. Defense. I'm not incompetent. The data was flawed. Power move. You're right. The report has errors. I will correct the mechanism. Notice what was left out. You didn't address the incompetent part. You ignored the insult and addressed the matter. You took ownership of the event but not the identity. This signals immense stability. Only a person who is secure in their own consciousness can admit a mistake so casually. Insecure people fight to the death to prove they are perfect. Secure people say, yes, a flaw occurred, and continue. Zapffe would call this disarming the tragedy. If you lay down your weapons, they look foolish brandishing theirs. It takes the air out of their lungs. It makes them look hysterical, and you look grounded in reality. And in the long run, history is written by the calm. None of this works if it is just a mask. If you are using these lines but your voice is trembling, or your eyes are darting, or your energy is screaming, please accept me, it will fail. This philosophy is 20% language and 80% internal resignation. You have to build the internal architecture to support the silence. This brings us back to the shadow. Why does it hurt when they attack you? Because they are touching a doubt that is already festering. If I tell you you have green skin, you won't get angry. You'll think I'm hallucinating. You won't defend yourself. You'll laugh. But if I tell you you are a failure and you defend yourself, it's because a part of you suspects I might be right. The ultimate defense is not a verbal trick. It is self-knowledge. It is looking into your own darkness, owning your own flaws, and accepting your own tragic nature. When you know you are capable of selfishness and someone calls you selfish, you say, sometimes, yes, I am human. When you know you are capable of cruelty and someone calls you cruel, you say, I have that capacity. You cannot shame a man who has already accepted his own absurdity. You cannot expose a woman who has nothing left to hide. This is what it means to be untouchable. It means you have integrated the parts of yourself that others try to use as weapons. You become transparent. The light passes through. The arrows pass through. You are no longer a fortress that needs defending. You are the wind. So here is the challenge. For the next 7 days, you are going to perform an experiment. The experiment is called the silence. No matter what happens, no matter how small the accusation, you are forbidden from explaining yourself. If you are late, say, I am late. Do not give the excuse. If you spill the coffee, say, I spilled the coffee. Do not blame the cup. If someone misunderstands you, let them misunderstand you. Sit in the fire of that isolation. Feel the urge to fix it, to manage their perception, to be the good object, and let that urge burn to ash. Watch what happens to the herd around you. Watch how they react when you stop playing the game of distraction. You will see confusion, then respect, then a strange kind of magnetism because people are drawn to certainty, and nothing screams certainty louder than a person who does not need to justify their existence. You are reclaiming your energy. You are plugging the leaks in your consciousness. You are stepping out of the role of the terrified child and into the role of the sovereign observer. The world will try to pull you back. It will try to bait you. It loves a reaction to validate its own noise. Don't give it one. Keep your mystery. Keep your power. Keep your silence. If this philosophy resonates with the quieter, deeper part of your mind, the part that is tired of performing for the species, then you know what to do. Subscribe. But not because I asked you to. Subscribe because you are done being a panic-stricken animal in a world of illusions.